Standing Simmer here today, and welcome back to the channel for another speed build here in The Sims 4. Now guys, this is not only just your average everyday type speed build, this is something I'm super excited to share with you for a couple of reasons. One of which is that it's a style I've never done before, and the other is that it is a collaboration with one of my friends here on YouTube, SimmerSan, and guys, I'm super excited to tell you guys about her and about what we're doing today. So as I mentioned, this is a build collaboration, and I actually asked SimmerSan if she wanted to do a collab with me something like a month ago. This has actually been in the works for a good little bit of time. Part of the reason it took so long, I think, for us to kind of get this together is that it was kind of just definitely more of a casual thing. I know we both have busy schedules, and it was kind of left when we initially talked as, oh hey, we'll just kind of toss around some ideas and see what happens. And so eventually we came around to deciding that we would do a vampire townhouse type collab. So 2 builds on a single lot, each of us building, each of us furnishing, and that we would create these builds for 2 totally different kinds of Sims. So what we're doing is something that's really, really bright and colorful and just like in your face. And we're doing something that's a little dark, a little spooky, a little Halloween type themed. And that even though you might expect that, if you're talking about a good versus an evil vampire, that the good one would live in the bright, happy, sparkly looking home, and then the bad one would live in the scary one. But in reality, that is reversed. So not only are the styles of the aesthetic, the outside, all the color choices, everything like that, not only is that totally different between these 2 homes that we're creating today, but also the people that are meant to live in these houses are kind of opposite to what you would expect, just given what these houses look like. So I want to tell you a little bit about SimmerSan, and then I want to tell you a little bit more about the build and just kind of what we were going for style wise, and a little bit more about my specific part of this build, and then I'll kind of go into some other stuff later on. But guys, like I said, I discovered SimmerSan, it's been actually several months ago now. I know I asked her to collab again something like a month ago perhaps, but I came across her channel, I want to say maybe a couple months ago now at this point, and it actually came across my recommended feed. You guys have to let me know if you've ever come across people that brand new simmers that you had just fall in love with just because they were recommended to you on your feed. But that's how I found her channel. And I remember looking at the thumbnail of the build that I initially came across, and I was thinking, man, that is a really good looking build. That looks incredible. So of course clicked on the video, just was taken immediately by how good the build looked and how it all came together, and by her commentary and just the conversation. It was just really, she's just really easy to listen to in her voiceovers. And on top of that, I always pick up something really cool build wise when it comes to walking away from her speed builds. I feel like I always learn something, and it's cool to watch those kind of people, because if you like to build or play the game or create Sims or anything along those lines in The Sims 4, it's really cool to watch people who kind of have similar interests and who can inspire you to do kind of different and cool things. So that's definitely how I consider her, is just a really amazing build inspiration. I always look forward to when her videos come out because I really, really enjoy watching them myself. And so guys, that is one of the reasons that I asked her to do this collab with me, because I just really wanted to, kind of work on a project with her. And I also think that you guys would really enjoy her channel too if you decided to go ahead and check that out. So all of her information, as per usual, will be in the description down below, and I encourage that, like I said, you go through and just follow through on her channel. I'll link her channel and her part of this collab, the video that of her building the house that's sitting next to the one I'm building right now. And like I said, highly encourage you to go and check that out. I'm very excited to see her build for this collab, because obviously I downloaded the lot and it already had her entire completed build over on that other half, and then I began my half of the build as well. But at the same time, I really tried to make it a point not to go over and peek around her side of the build. Obviously I caught glimpses here and there as I was building and decorating my own half, but I was also trying to kind of avoid the camera moving too much that direction so that I didn't spoil too much of what she had done. And I also wanted to just really kind of be surprised when it came to me watching her video when these videos come out. So like I said, if you want to join me just kind of in watching her video over on her channel, that's almost certainly what I'll be doing as soon as possible, as soon as I can after her video comes out, because I'm super, super excited to see how it came together and to hear more of what she was thinking as she was putting together the build. So yeah guys, definitely encourage that you check her out if you'd like to add another amazing Sims builder to your list of people to watch. I feel like that those people are never ending for me. I'm always discovering really cool new people, and that's partly because I think that new people are always creating channels. Like there are new people coming into the simming community all the time, just like I did like 6 months ago, and just like some people did years ago even. But I think it's really cool that a lot of people are kind of joining this community on the creator side of things, even as people who had been watchers at one point and then who joined on the creator side of things. I think it's really cool, and again, it helps us. I think it helps us to be exposed to people with different styles and things like that. So yeah, guys, like I said, definitely check her out. I would highly encourage you to do so because I love her build so much. But yeah, guys, I just want to tell you a little bit more specifically about the kind of build that we're making today, the things we're putting together over here, so you have an idea of what's going on. As I mentioned, we intended to do 2 separate builds on the same lot with kind of completely different styles. So 2 things that would look absolutely contrasting if you put them side by side, which of course they are. So again, I'm sure you caught glimpses of the build that SimmerSan put together, and I'm not going to spoil too much of what she does because I definitely, I know that she's going to be explaining that in her build. But when it comes to her build, is supposed to be for like this, it's really clean, really just kind of, like I said, kind of in your face. Again, I'm sure you've kind of seen that based on the color, and it's for an evil sim, and that's all I'm gonna say. The only reason I tell you that is because I've already told you that our builds are gonna be opposite in those senses, and my build is a dark, spooky, cluttered, dirty, like grungy kind of build, just not exactly the kind of place you'd want to live, honestly. Even besides the spookiness, it's just kind of overgrown and all crazy and all over the place. But in addition to that, this build is not one for like an evil sim, as you might think someone, who has this kind of style would live. This build is actually for a good sim. So again, very contrasting styles, very contrasting personalities that are meant to live in these 2 builds. And so I've never really built Victorian before, Victorian or whatever you would call this style. I'm not super familiar with what it is. To be completely honest with you, I definitely had to look up some reference photos prior to putting this together because I had no idea where to start. Now, granted, when I downloaded SimmerSan's lot from the gallery and placed it here in Forgotten Hollow to start building on it, I was just blown away by the detail that she puts into her build. It's just amazing. I mean, it's definitely something I've come to expect by watching her builds. It's not unusual for her to put like an incredible amount of detail in these things, but the outside of it just looks so good, and I was like, oh my goodness, I've just got this whole big build to measure up to. It just looks really good. And so I was definitely like looking around on Pinterest for some reference photos. I found a really cool like build inspiration board that was just devoted to like a Victorian style architecture, which I feel like fits the type of build that you tend to see in Forgotten Hollow. I know a lot of people, when they build for Forgotten Hollow, this is kind of the style that a lot of people imagine to be there. It's one that definitely fits in really well. So that's definitely what I was going for with this. Again, not having built in it before, I was really heavily reliant on some build inspiration photos, more for the exterior than the interior. The interior came together pretty well without me having to consult any kind of photo or anything like that, but I would not have known where to start had I not had SimmerSan's build sitting right next to this one on the lot, and having seen some of the reference photos that I came across too. So both of those things were definitely very helpful in kind of like pointing me in the right direction. And when it all came down to it, this actually ended up being a really fun build to put together. I really like kind of pushing myself out of my comfort zone when it comes to building. I feel like it can be really easy to settle into like a building rut when it comes to creating any kind of content like this. I mean, I feel like if you do the same thing over and over again, that probably means you're gonna be really good at that thing. But it also means that you're not gonna force yourself to be challenged. You're not gonna allow yourself the opportunity to grow in different styles. And so even if this is necessarily not, which I highly doubt it is, I doubt this is like the most good looking vampire build you will see, or Victorian build or anything like that. But I had a lot of fun putting it together, and I feel like I learned a lot when it came to building in this kind of style. And I look forward to doing something maybe kind of like more like this in the future and really experimenting on it. I was also really excited that, of course, we put this together and that it was kind of vampire related, and there's like a spooky side of things, and I got to do the spooky one and all that kind of stuff. I was really excited to kind of incorporate that now that it is October. At least that's when I'm recording this, of course, it's October. If you're watching this in the future, then that probably means nothing to you, but we're kind of right here in the middle of spooky season. I've seen a lot of really amazing builds already go up on other YouTubers' channels with regard to like these spooky mansion type things, and it's really cool to see that kind of architecture emerging, because it's not not really something that you see a lot during the rest of the year. I mean, I can't really think of another instance where I see a lot of Victorian inspired architecture just kind of like sprinkled throughout other regular speed builds. You just really kind of see that sort of thing coming out in droves this time of year. So really excited to kind of, again, take the time to experiment with it and then to do it as a collab as well. Guys, I feel like I'm like totally rambling like all over the place tonight. I'm kind of like, my brain just feels a little fried right now, I'm not gonna lie. I actually did a very, very bad thing, and I left a lot of the actual preparation for this build till about the last minute. Not in the least because I wasn't excited about it, more just because my time recently has been so ridiculously limited. Like, I have been working on the verge of overtime, if not more, here recently the last couple of weeks, and just haven't had a ridiculous amount of time to sit and play the game for myself, one, much less create a ton of content on the channel. You guys have probably noticed that if you are kind of regular viewers of mine, that there haven't been a whole bunch of speed builds or anything like that here recently. I've been kind of gravitating more toward apartment builds and like a couple of creative sims here and there, some random videos, just kind of whatever comes to me in the moment, because right now taking the time to actually sit down and do a speed build is really, the time isn't quite always there all the time. And even if the time is there, the inspiration hasn't really been there here recently. I think I get hit with this every time we have a new pack announcement. You guys have to let me know if you're anything like that, because when it comes to knowing that a new pack is on its way, knowing that we have a new world coming out with this new Get Famous pack, and terrain tools added on top of that that are going to be coming in that free update here in the next couple of weeks, it's just crazy that, I mean, all these new build related things are about to drop on The Sims 4. And for some reason that makes me feel like I can't build anything when, like with the content that we have right now, which is of course ridiculous because all that content's still there. You know, a few weeks ago, prior to this announcement, prior to the terrain tool thing, all of this same content was still here. Like, nothing has changed, but it just like feels more difficult for me to get in the game and want to build something because I'm trying to brainstorm and get excited for things that are to come. So like I said, between inspiration and time, I just haven't done a lot of speed building here on the channel here recently, and I don't know if that's going to change here in the next little bit. The month of October is kind of fun though, because you can dedicate some of that time to more like spooky type stuff. You know, you kind of get the Halloween theme going. You can do vampire related stuff and it not seem too out of place like it might on other times of the year. So I'm kind of having fun with that. I hope you guys don't mind that it is a little bit of a break from what you would normally be seeing on the channel. There was a time even here recently where I was sharing like 2 speed builds a week on the channel, and I also don't know how I was managing that, but I don't know if that will be able to happen here like going forward. But I definitely try to aim for at least 1, but you know, sometimes things happen and it doesn't always work out that way. After that long little like ramble to, you know, to some people who have been in my audience for a while, I did want to just go ahead and introduce myself quickly in case you're coming over from SimmerSan's channel and you have no idea who I am. First of all, thanks, I appreciate you clicking on the video, but my name is Mariah. I'm Standing Simmer here on YouTube, as you might have guessed based on my user, but I do a reasonable bit of Sims 4 content here on the channel. As I just mentioned, my schedule here recently, I don't know. I don't even know why I pretend I have a schedule, to be honest with you, because I kind of do, but it's really more just like for that week or for that brief period of time. Never do I really carry a schedule on drastically beyond like a few weeks, a month, something like that. So the type of content I've been sharing here on the channel has been a little bit sporadic recently, but I do lots of things from builds and apartment renovations and random videos. Just a couple weeks ago, or last week even, I don't even remember now, but I released a video that was dealing with like ideas for custom holidays to put in your game, things like that. I do some creative sim stuff. I do an LP, which is the Family Dynamics Challenge here, and it's a challenge I created with another YouTuber friend of mine. And then as well, I also play the Not So Berry Challenge in my spare time, and I share that with you guys on well, right now it's a weekly basis in the form of current household updates. So that's a little tidbit, that's a little taste of what you might be seeing here on the channel from time to time. And yeah, if you guys like what you see, I hope you stick around because I'd like to have you, that's for sure. So yeah, we are just kind of course, we've been on the interior now for a reasonable bit of time. We actually started over in the kitchen, and I always kind of find it funny to decorate kitchens in vampire houses because obviously the kitchen isn't really something that they use a whole bunch. A lot of vampires can consume food unless they have that, I forget what it's called. It's not a reward. It's more like something you have to take on, like a curse, like a downfall kind of thing. So when you earn enough vampire power points, you can purchase rewards, so perks. But then as you consume the perks, perks, you also have to take on a weakness. One of the weaknesses that comes with the vampire pack is that you can't consume human food without vomiting. So for the most part, because vampires don't have a hunger need and because there's a reasonable chance they might vomit when you eat anyway, kitchens are kind of an unnecessary thing. Bathrooms are also unnecessary in a vampire house, which is funny because there are 3 in this house. That's actually something I only just now put together. But if your vampire has guests or maybe family members who are not vampires, then, they have some options as far as bathrooms go and things like that. Which, speaking of like specs and all that kind of stuff for the build, the entire lot is a 30 by 30. And of course that encompasses both SimmerSan's build and my own. And we kind of like split it right down the middle and then built on either side of that line. But my build in particular, of course, she can tell you a little bit more about the specs of hers, and she will in her video, but my build is 1 bedroom with the possibility for 2. You can definitely turn the office, which we've already furnished, into a bedroom if you need an extra room. But then there are 3 bathrooms, and there's one on the lower floor that's just kind of like an open guest type bedroom, open guest bathroom that I imagine, just like a quick in and out type thing. On the upper floor, you have both another bathroom that could be open to guests and such with the laundry area in it. I don't know how much vampires would be concerned with laundry, but you have it available to you if you'd want it. But then that's on the upper floor, and then there's also an ensuite to the master bedroom, which the master is one of my favorite rooms in this whole house. I actually really like the way that it turned out. One of the coolest things about being able to just kind of go crazy with all this vampire stuff is that I was really kind of delving into using some of the wallpapers and things like that that I've never used before, or at least rarely use when it comes to building here in The Sims 4. So I had a lot of fun just kind of putting them together and like using these crazy wallpapers and these crazy patterns and just kind of like letting it flow, because I feel like that kind of fits the architecture and the style of this house. Whereas I would almost never use this kind of pattern wallpaper in any other house for any other reason. I feel like it just fits this style really well, and it'd be kind of hard to get away with it elsewhere. But anyways, with that being said, like I said, the master, definitely one of my favorite rooms in the entire house, just probably because of the pure color scheme, just the base color scheme with all the browns and the blacks. I really like that a lot. And you guys have probably noticed that, well, you may not have noticed, I'm telling you now anyways, but there are quite a bit of plants in this house. I definitely wanted to make sure to break up some of the dead, grungy, like I know I'm making it a point to put spider webs and cracks and water stains and all that kind of stuff everywhere. I wanted to kind of break up that look with the addition of a lot of plants. So you will see some plants here and there. It might kind of seem funny or out of place to see those in a vampire home because like there's probably not a whole lot of life in the house of a vampire because vampires are just dead. They're dead creatures. They're not aging. They're not really living. They're just like existing. But I thought that the plants would provide a pretty nice juxtaposition between that more like not alive atmosphere and the fact that it's a plant and it's green, and it's really nice just to kind of break up everything else. And in addition to that, there is a secret room that we'll get to a little bit later. It's actually the very last room that we furnished in the entire house. We're actually coming up onto it here fairly soon. But there's a secret room that's hidden in this house that, I mean, if you really looked at the outside of the house and then went inside, you could probably figure out that there was like a hidden room type thing. But I've never used those bookshelves that act as a hidden door. I've never used those before in any build. And so I just thought it'd be kind of fun to use them in this build because I wanted to create a secret room. And to be honest with you, when I first initially floor planned this house, I had no idea whatsoever what I wanted to do with that room. I just thought, okay, I'll figure it out when I get to furnishing. And then when I came upon furnishing it, I literally knew exactly what I wanted to do. And guys, that is that the vampire, the sim who inhabits this house, even though they are a vampire and even though like the undead thing is how they roll, they love plants in general. And I mentioned the whole plant thing just a second ago, but they specifically love flower arranging. And I think that they have all this like flower arranging stuff and like their plant room tucked away behind a hidden door because they're afraid of the ridicule of other vampires. It's kind of a weird thing to want to cultivate life in the ground, in the soil, especially when you can't be outside in the sunlight for long periods of time without dying. So guys, I don't know exactly how they acquire their flowers for flower arranging, but I know that they do it somehow and they have a secret room in which to perform that kind of skill. But guys, we are at the end of the build and I just want to say thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate it. Definitely make sure to check out, once again, SimmerSan, links in the description, and I highly encourage that you do so. This build is available on the gallery with both of our lots side by side under my user, Standing Simmer, and that will be linked in the description. And then of course you can check out her her gallery and her video for just her side of the build as well. So yeah guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you're having the best of days, and I will see you very soon. Bye!